Elias Ward had always envisioned Oak Ridge Heights as the ideal community. The moment he stepped through the doorway of his new home, he felt a sense of accomplishment and relief. Tree-lined streets, immaculate lawns, and symmetrical houses painted a picture of stability and refinement. Every detail seemed perfect. The iron gates, the quiet cul-de-sacs, the neatly trimmed hedges along the sidewalks, and the subtle hum of neighborhood life. Elias had worked tirelessly to reach this point in his life, saving every penny, planning meticulously, and researching neighborhoods for months. Oak Ridge Heights promised the combination of community harmony and personal freedom he had long sought. For the first week, everything seemed as expected. Neighbors waving in passing, kids playing in the yards, and Harlan Pierce, the HOA president, appearing in polished form during meetings, smiling and welcoming. The rules seemed straightforward, and Elias even found comfort in the structure. Yet beneath the shiny veneer of newsletters and well-groomed lawns, something sinister waited to reveal itself. The first hint came unexpectedly. While browsing the HOA portal for routine information about trash schedules and community notices, Elias noticed a small, misplaced digital folder labeled Internal Financial Records, Confidential. Curiosity overtook him. He downloaded it and began examining the contents in his home office, the soft glow of his desk lamp highlighting the seriousness of his discovery. The spreadsheets were alarming. Large sums of money were labeled vaguely: consultant fees, community improvement reserves, and miscellaneous expenditures. Yet there was no documentation or corresponding approval minutes. Certain transfers referenced external accounts with obscure company names that did not appear in any public record. One, in particular, was traced to an entity connected to Harlan Pierce. Elias's pulse quickened. It was unmistakable. The HOA funds he and all other residents paid were being misused, siphoned off under the guise of community improvement. The realization brought both a sense of dread and a spark of determination. This was not mismanagement. This was deliberate embezzlement. For days, Elias immersed himself in research, cross-referencing archived newsletters, previous budget statements, and meeting minutes. Each inconsistency reinforced the reality. The board had been redirecting funds over several years, often without any homeowner knowledge or approval. Some entries suggested vendor payments to shell companies or family-connected entities. The more he dug, the more evidence he found: invoices with falsified descriptions, missing receipts, and financial transfers that violated state HOA regulations. By the end of the week, he had printed multiple spreadsheets, highlighted every discrepancy, and began assembling a detailed timeline to track each questionable transaction. Each sheet told a story of greed, secrecy, and manipulation. He felt a mix of apprehension and resolve someone had to act, and that someone was now him. Despite the urgency, Elias approached the situation cautiously. He knew Harlan Pierce wielded significant influence, using the rules of the HOA to intimidate homeowners who questioned authority. A direct confrontation could backfire, yet he needed evidence strong enough to withstand scrutiny. With meticulous planning, he attended the monthly HOA meeting to observe Harlan in action. The room was full of homeowners, many of whom nodded and accepted statements without question. Harlan spoke with a polished cadence, deflecting questions and projecting confidence. When asked about sudden fee increases, he attributed them to unforeseen maintenance costs and necessary community improvements, offering vague, unverifiable explanations. The crowd seemed satisfied. Elias realized that the board maintained control through confusion, subtle intimidation, and polished appearances. No one questioned the details unless they had proof. Elias returned home, more determined than ever, to gather irrefutable evidence before taking any formal action. Retaliation was swift. Within days, Elias began receiving violation notices. First, a claim that his mailbox was non-compliant. Then, a notice about trash bins being visible from the street, despite being placed exactly where the HOA required. Finally, a fine accused him of unauthorized landscaping modifications, referencing flowers and shrubs he had planted months before, all fully compliant with HOA guidelines. It was clear that the board was targeting him personally. Elias documented each notice with photographs and timestamps, creating a precise record. He began noticing subtle signs of intimidation around his property. Footprints near the flower beds that weren't his, garden tools slightly moved, and small debris arranged to suggest neglect. It was a strategic campaign. Create pressure, make him doubt himself, and force him to back down. But Elias had anticipated this. Seeking guidance, Elias reached out to Walter Briggs, a retired accountant and former HOA board member. They met in a quiet cafe, discussing Oak Ridge Heights' hidden history. Walter provided encrypted records showing unauthorized transfers, dubious vendor payments, and approvals signed off by the board to benefit private interests. This confirmed Elias's suspicions. Armed with this evidence, Elias organized every document, cross-referencing financial records, board minutes, and invoices into a comprehensive case. Meanwhile, Harlan's retaliation escalated. More fines arrived, and access to community amenities was threatened. Board members were observed near his home, taking photographs, creating an environment of intimidation. Elias responded by documenting everything: photographs, videos, and time-stamped notes, preparing for the inevitable legal battle, determined to act. Elias submitted a formal audit request to the county HOA regulatory office, including all collected evidence. The response came swiftly. The office acknowledged receipt and confirmed a full investigation. Harlan, realizing the gravity of the situation, attempted to suppress Elias by issuing more fines and attempting to freeze community privileges. Yet the more aggressive the board became, the stronger Elias's resolve grew. Neighbors, initially hesitant, began to share their own experiences with him. Fines, hidden fees, and harassment that had gone unchallenged for years. Elias advised them on documentation and reporting, forming a coalition prepared to support the investigation. As investigators reviewed records, interviewed homeowners, and analyzed financial transactions, Harlan's panic became visible. Attempts to destroy evidence or intimidate witnesses failed. The investigation uncovered widespread embezzlement, improper approvals, and retaliatory fines. Legal action followed, resulting in removal of Harlan Pierce and other implicated board members, restitution of funds, and installation of a transparent, accountable board. Elias Ward's persistence not only protected his home, but restored integrity to the entire neighborhood. The community celebrated renewed fairness. Elias became a symbol of courage and accountability, demonstrating that meticulous documentation, patience, and determination could overcome corruption. Harlan Pierce faced legal consequences, barred from future board positions. Oak Ridge Heights returned to the community it promised to be, and Elias stood on his porch at sunset, watching a neighborhood finally free from fear and corruption, knowing he had changed its course forever.